Yes, Izuku said, and it nearly killed us. Bakugo scoffed. Worth it. Mitsuki smacked the back of his head instantly. Not helping. Bakugo shrugged. Didn't stop him. That made everyone freeze. Bakugo looked at Izuku, not for permission, not for reassurance, but because it was the truth. I didn't stop him, Bakugo repeated. I knew it was dangerous, I knew it hurt him. His teeth clenched. And I still didn't stop him. Izuku's voice broke just a little. Because you trusted me. Bakugo nodded once. Always have. Aizawa closed his eyes briefly. This wasn't recklessness. This was *choice*. You never did it again, Aizawa said. Izuku shook his head. Not like that. We agreed never to push it that far, not without control, not without knowing what it would cost. Nezu straightened slowly. Which means, he said, excitement threading dangerously close to his voice, you've been deliberately holding back a quirk capable of accelerating development beyond natural limits. Izuku stiffened. We're at UA, he said firmly. A hero school. I'm not doing that again without permission, without safeguards. Bakugo snorted. And without him, he added, jerking his head toward Aizawa. Watching. Aizawa opened his eyes. For once, he didn't scold them. Good, he said. Everyone blinked. That was the right call, Aizawa continued. Because what you're describing isn't just dangerous. He looked directly at Izuku. It's world-altering. Nezu smiled slowly. Indeed, a quirk that doesn't just enhance but rewrites potential. Inko's hands trembled, but her voice was steady. You're not doing this alone anymore. Mitsuki nodded fiercely. No more secret near-deaths. Izuku exhaled, a long, shaking breath he'd been holding for years. Bakugo cracked his knuckles. Told you it'd come out eventually. Izuku laughed weakly. You didn't stop me. Bakugo smirked. Never will. Aizawa watched them, two boys who shared thoughts without words, who had already crossed lines most heroes never would. UA wasn't ready for Izuku's quirk. But UA would *adapt. Midnight settled over UA like a held breath. The halls were quiet now, lights dimmed low, the chaos of the day finally drained away. Outside, engines idled in the parking lot, two familiar ones. Izuku and Bakugo stood near the entrance, both wrapped in borrowed jackets, bruised and bloodied but unmistakably a live asterisk. Recovery Girl had patched what she could without pushing their bodies further. The rest would heal on its own, like it always did. Inko fussed over Izuku, adjusting his collar for the third time. You are sleeping the moment you get home, she said sharply. No notebooks, no training. Izuku nodded, tired enough not to argue. Yes, Mom. Mitsuki yanked Bakugo into a headlock, ignoring his yelp. You so much as think about sparring tomorrow, and I'll nail your feet to the floor. "'It's worth it," Bakugo muttered. Smack. Not helping, she growled, though there was no real heat left in it. The mothers exchanged a look, one forged by years of shared anxiety and reluctant acceptance, then guided their sons toward the cars. Izuku glanced back once. Bakugo didn't. They didn't need to. The doors shut, engines pulled away, the night swallowed them whole. Aizawa stood on the steps, scarf loose around his shoulders, watching the taillights fade into the dark. Nezu padded up beside him, paws folded neatly behind his back. Extraordinary, Nezu said softly. Aizawa didn't respond right away. He replayed the night in his head, the fight, the restraint, the trust, the way the boys had leaned on each other instead of falling. They're not just strong, Aizawa said finally. They're already operating beyond what UA is designed to handle. Nezu hummed in agreement. Midoriya's quirk, in particular, challenges our entire framework for quirk development. It's not enhancement, Aizawa said. It's acceleration. Evolution, Nezu corrected gently. Forced evolution. Aizawa clenched his jaw. And if he pushes it too far. Nezu's eyes gleamed faintly in the low light. Then he reaches a future he was never meant to arrive at so soon. Silence stretched between them. Aizawa exhaled slowly. I was scared tonight. Nezu looked at him, surprised. They held back against me, Aizawa continued. Both of them, not out of arrogance, but because they didn't see me as a threat. That realization can be unsettling, Nezu said. I'm supposed to be their safety net, Aizawa said flatly, and I'm not sure I'm enough. Nezu smiled, not playful, not cruel, thoughtful. You don't have to be enough alone. Aizawa glanced at him. That's why UA exists, Nezu continued. Not to contain monsters, but to guide them before the world decides to fear them. Aizawa looked back toward the road. They're going to change everything, he said. Nezu nodded. Yes. And Katoma, Aizawa added. He's already chasing them. Nezu's smile widened just a fraction. Good. Pressure creates diamonds. Aizawa sighed. Or shrapnel. Only if handled poorly, Nezu replied. The wind stirred, carrying the distant sounds of the city beyond UA's walls. Nezu clasped his paws together. Shouta, he said lightly. You asked earlier whether you were enough. Aizawa didn't answer. You are, Nezu said. Not because you can overpower them, but because you're the first adult who looked at what they are and chose responsibility over fear. Aizawa closed his eyes. When he opened them again, resolve had settled in. Then we change how we teach, he said. We adapt. Nezu's grin turned sharp. Now you're thinking like a principal. Above them, the moon hung high and pale, watching over a school that had just accepted something far bigger than it realized. 2 boys had gone home to sleep. 2 forces had been acknowledged. The next morning came too fast. Izuku felt it the moment he woke up, his body heavy, sore in that deep, aching way that meant healing was still in progress. Not bad asterisk, just loud. Every movement reminded him that yesterday hadn't been a dream. He dressed slowly. Bandages wrapped both of his arms, peeking out from beneath the sleeves of his UA uniform, no matter how carefully he adjusted them. Thin white lines crossed his hands and forearms, layered over bruises that hadn't fully faded yet. Recovery Girl had called it acceptable damage. Izuku wasn't sure he liked that phrase. Bakugo was already waiting outside the apartment building, arms crossed, scowl firmly in place. He looked better than last night, but not by much. Both his arms were wrapped, thick bandages around his forearms and hands, and lighter ones ran up his calves beneath his uniform pants. Izuku stared before he could stop himself. Keikaken, your legs too. Bakugo clicked his tongue. Feet, he corrected. You try landing explosions wrong once and everyone loses their minds. Izuku winced in sympathy. They walked to the station together, neither mentioning the obvious, that they were still hurt, still tired, and still going anyway. Because that's what they'd always done. Class 1, A fell silent the moment they walked in. Not the awkward, unsure quiet from yesterday, but something sharper, heavier. Izuku felt it like pressure against his skin. Eyes followed them. Whispers didn't even bother to start yet. Everyone was too busy starring. Bandages weren't uncommon at UA. Everyone knew hero training hurt, but this was their second day asterisk. And Izuku looked like he'd already lost a fight with a building. He shrank instinctively, shoulders curling inward, but forced himself to keep walking. He slid into his seat, hands folding together on the desk like they'd been trained to do when he was younger. Bakugo dropped into his chair beside him with a loud asterisk thud, daring anyone to say something. Someone finally did. A boy with mismatched eyes leaned forward slightly. Did something happen? Izuku opened his mouth. Bakugo interrupted. Training,